And now it's Deborah Cobelt Live and the Little Italy podcast.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And please give a warm welcome to my guest today. We're thrilled to announce Maria Elena Infantino. Maria is just such an incredible international singer and performer, also a film producer. And the first time that I saw you performing over at Vibrato up in Bel Air, I was so stunned by your voice. I almost fell off my chair. And by the way, we're going to be interviewing the owner of Vibrato in a few weeks. But I have to say, you're a tiny presence, gorgeous. And out comes this voice. And I'm thinking, where did that come from? And I've since gotten to know you some since then. And I just think you are not just a wonderful performer, but just such an exuberant person. And we wanted to have you on to talk about your work, your life, and then some. So welcome.
Buongiorno, and thank you so much for a wonderful introduction, dear Deborah. It is a joy to be joining you today and the viewers to talk about love, life, career, music, and all you want to talk about. But thank you for having me.
See, what did I say? Look at you. The minute you even open your mouth, you're just exuberant. You make people want to smile. Okay, what I want to do is go back a little bit because I love doing that. You know, who was Maria as a little kid? Did you always want to be a singer? We will talk about your family later because it kind of runs in the family. But did you always want to sing? What did you envision doing as a little kid?
The funny thing is that I never wanted to be a singer because I was born into music. Both my parents are opera singers. And so for me, it was normal to be around the house singing, having parties at the house with different international performers from around the world staying over for a week or a month. And so they would pick up their violin, another one would get on the piano, another one would sing. So for me, performing was just normal day-to-day life. So when we would think, oh, what am I going to do when I grow up? It was never like, oh, no, I don't want to be a singer because you have to think also when my mom was singing with other friends such as Placido Domingo, or we had friends singing with Pavarotti, I would just go backstage on rehearsal and cross the stage and see Pavarotti and I start singing with him. La ci darem la mano, lei mi dirai di sì. So that's normal. So I never thought, oh, Pavarotti's famous, oh, Placido Domingo's famous. It's just buddies that I see backstage. So to me, to think that singing is a profession, it's not a profession. It's just now I'm thinking, what am I going to do when I grow up, actually? Because so far I've been having fun and not working. That's how I feel.
What was your first gig singing? Because I know that you were in school and probably thinking, all right, what's next? Where'd you go to school? Where did you grow up? You're sort of an international person. You're everywhere.
So I grew up in Rome from the age of 5 until 18. Then at 18, I moved to London to study acting because I got approved into drama school. And so then my first gig was, so you have to think I trained as a singer. No, as an actress. But of course, we did have 4 hours a week of singing and we did musical theater and all of that. And I could see so many of my peers would cry when they had singing class because for them it was, oh my God, it's so stressful. I don't know how to, I couldn't understand. I was like, what's your problem? Can't anyone sing? Everybody sings as far as I'm concerned. So for me, it was quite interesting to get out of my Roman bubble and see that, oh, some people have never been to the opera and they're 18 and 19 and 20. And we had to go to the opera. I was like, oh my God, you haven't seen this opera already? So it was, snapping out of the bubble, seeing there's a world out there that doesn't sing and doesn't go to opera. And so my first gig out of drama school was singing. I was like, really? So it was at the Royal Albert Hall with Dame Shirley Bassey in front of 5,250 people. And I sang one song on my own with the orchestra, with the Philharmonic, and it was for the 50th anniversary of the Beatles in this huge venue. And then the finale was at big stars, but the main star was Dame Shirley Bassey, and we sang All You Need Is Love. So that was my debut at 20.
Wow! But that's a big debut. Come on, what were you thinking? I mean, that's pretty huge.
Yeah,
right?
I ended up there. My life is, I ended up there. So go with the flow is my main motto. Go with the flow.
Wow. So then what? Did you end up primarily singing? Like, to go with the flow, where do you go after that? That's a pretty
Exactly,
big...
because it's pretty much peak time for some careers to sing with
Right.
Shirley Bassey. But after that, one of the directors that we worked in drama school with remembered me, and he said, let's get you onto this TV show that's very big in the UK. It's on ITV Yorkshire Television, and it's called Emmerdale. And so I got a 2-day job, two full scenes with the main stars, and I was it was in this hospital, and I was the receptionist at the hospital, and I did that, and that was my first job on a big TV show that has been running for 30 or 40 years even. So I got a role on that speaking role, 4 scenes or something like that. And so, you know, I started out of drama school, Royal Albert Hall with Dame Shirley Bassey, and then ITV Yorkshire Television. And then I was like, okay, what are we going to do next? And we did a tribute show concert in West, what do you call it? Because now I'm doing Broadway. In my mind, New York is Broadway, but the West End in London. West End in London, we produced a show tribute to my dad, the tenor Luigi Infantino. So these were my 3 main things coming out of drama school.
Let's talk a little bit about your dad, Luigi Infantino, because I saw the trailer, which you were kind enough to send to me. It also played last week, I believe, at the Italian Film Festival here in Los Angeles. That was phenomenal. And also, I want to talk about your mom. Your mom is from Bulgaria. Your dad is from Sicily, I believe.
Yes.
Quite a combination, and quite an impression on you, right? So let's talk first about Dad, about Luigi,
yes,
the tenor, about the upcoming documentary about your father, and what was he like, and the kind of impression he left on you.
So my father was Sicilian, as you mentioned, and he came from a family of 4 brothers and sisters, or 5 even, and it's a tiny village in Sicily. Right. And we have to think this is post-war II, World War II. And he had a huge difference in age with my mom, like 34 years difference. So already it's a movie in itself. He comes from a little town in Sicily. At 16, he learned how to play the guitar from the blind man in the village. Then he leaves and joins the Marina Militare, La Reggia Militare. So it's the Italian Marines in the band, though. And he used to sing in church in his town on Sundays as a little boy, solo. And so he leaves Sicily and becomes this huge opera star by the age of 22. And he sang with the likes of Maria Callas. He was best friends with Laurel and Hardy. He was friends with Laurence Olivier and Vivian Leigh. He traveled to Australia and to the States when you would go there by boat. So this is a story that I think has to be told, because he reopened the theaters of the world after the war. And he also was way more famous than Julie Andrews when she was at the beginning. So I have this poster and program where front page of the program is actually my dad. And you say, and it says, Luigi Infantino, world famous opera singer, with Julie Andrews. And you turn the page and there she is at 19 starting her career.
Wow.
So I think the documentary is going to be all of that. It's glamour, it's history, it's music. So it encompasses a lot. And why shouldn't this story be told? So Pascal Vici-Domini at the Los Angeles Italian Film Festival, I asked him 10 days before the festival, I was like, I don't know if it's any interest to you, but can we just show the trailer on the big screen? I want to see how it sounds and looks and what's the outcome with the audience. He said, sure. No, like within 3 minutes he answered and he said, you got it. So we screened it last week at the Italian Film Festival in LA, and it was great and impressive to watch it on the big screen. I was like, oh my God, I'm embarking such an adventure. It's going to be quite epic, and it's my dad. I come from that.
You know, they're pretty terrific like that. The folks who run the festival, I'm going to have them on sometime, you know, before next year's, because I love how they were so inclusive, but also it's because it's a story of a man. What an incredible man and career. What kind of impression did it leave on you? I mean, I know you said that you'd be backstage with mom and there's Placido, and I get it. Sometimes you grow up in this environment and it becomes second nature. It's like, oh, that's what they do. But Dad, now that you look back at this, right? Because I know that he died when you were very young,
And
right?
So I was 7. So, you know, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. So I think this cathartic documentary for me, it's a way of getting to know him. Because, for example, I want to interview people that are still alive who knew him. And like Julie Andrews, I want to ask her, what was it like to be on stage with him? Did he have a crush? Present, was he larger than life? Because I feel that he was larger than life, and I inherited, if anything, my genes dictate the zest for life. And so I think I inherited that. I want to discover that through the tales of people who met him, because as a kid I didn't have much of that. I do have his records, his LPs, some tape recordings of him talking on radio shows. And I would like to find with BBC and Rai, the Italian network, and the British network, what was he like as a person on camera? Because I have him on camera on movies. And you see him picking up the guitar, making a mess and being creative and standing up and singing in another scene in another movie. Because at the end of his career, he was in movies because he was not bored, but, you know, you stop your career as a singer at some point. And so he knew Zeffirelli, Fellini, Franco Rosi, and Lina Wertmüller, and he would just end up on set and they would improvise a scene where he just sings. So I get that because I'm kind of like that. I do improvise my life throughout.
You do. You do. It's extraordinary. When are you performing here next? And I'm not ending the interview, but since you were talking about yourself performing, I'm thinking, because people have to go, they've got to go see you. I left there feeling so happy, but I was also sort of in shock that this life and voice came out of you, right? It was, you know, it's a little adorable person. Wow. So when are you performing next here in LA? Do you have?
Oh, no, in LA, I'm not going to be performing because in 10 days I leave for London, and I'm going to go to London to perform for a private event, like it's 40th anniversary of a big company in PR in London. And then I'm going to go to Bulgaria to this huge festival of a friend of mine who throws this 3-day happening for all the hairdressers in Bulgaria. And so I'm going to end up in Bulgaria singing there on the 29th of March. And then I'm going to end up in Cannes on the 20th of May. I hope I'll see you there. I'll sing at the Ritz-Carlton for the Better World Fund. So whoever's in Cannes, please do join us because it's going to be a great event for our cause, as always. We're going to have some Hollywood celebs. I'm not at liberty to say it yet, I think. And so, yeah, and up until May, there is all of that in 3 different countries, potentially a movie. Also, you know, I have my Bulgarian production company in Bulgaria, so we have a few things happening over the summer and in September and October. We have the Venice Film Festival as well. We're going to be showing my documentary trailer in Cannes and in Venice as well, where I'm going to be performing. So yeah, lots happening. I'm already tired talking about it.
I know, and we saw each other once again at the Better World Fund in Venice at the film festival. That was magnificent, where you performed and I was on a panel. That was such a beautiful event, wasn't it? It was really magnificent.
They really pull it off nicely, and they get great people together. I mean, the Venice film one was Kevin Costner and Susan Sarandon. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be singing in front of them.
Yeah, and they were as lovely as could be. They were.
I never plan life. I just, when you ask me, I do it. I go with it.
I like that about you, and it's true. Now, you mentioned performing in Bulgaria. Your mom is Bulgarian.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that influence on you as well. I mean,
so she came out of a communist country, as you can imagine. So she had the struggles. She has another movie on her life. I mean,
yeah.
Her life is a movie, another one that I have to make, but later. So basically, she was the daughter of 2 major doctors. Her father was an anesthesiologist and her mother was a cardiologist. They went in Libya as well to open a clinic over there in the 70s, or yeah, I think in the 70s. And so then she won this opera competition and she ended up in Venice. So we always go back to Venice. My dad sang in Venice with Maria Callas at La Fenice, in Lucia di Lammermoor. My mom won first prize coming out of a communist country. She won the competition with Mario del Monaco. So for the opera buffs, they know who Mario del Monaco is. And she got to sing in Piazza San Marco after she won the competition with Mario del Monaco in Othello, and she was his Desdemona. And so then she moved to Rome and she met my dad and she started singing in Spoleto and this, that, and the other. And my dad, of course, fell in love with her and said, Signorina, you are great talent, but I'm going to teach you some perks more and I'm going to give you lessons. She was like, Maestro, I come from Bulgaria. I'm on a scholarship. I'm at Santa Cecilia Conservatory. What, you think I want money? You're going to become a huge star and you're going to give me a percentage afterwards. So I guess I'm the percentage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So go ahead, go.
No. And then she just became a singer in Italy. She sang in Mexico with Placido Domingo. She sang in Sweden. I mean, you name it. Where didn't she sing? In Lebanon, she had she was teaching at the University of Kaslik for 10 years until, the most recent events. So she's been everywhere herself. My dad has been everywhere himself. So no wonder I travel so much. In Europe, I have about 9 flights a month. So.
Wow. Is that difficult on your personal life? Because it's got to be, right?
It's exhausting, but there is that switch that when you get on stage, you forget everything else and you're on and you just do it. So yes, it's exhausting. Yes, I never know where I am in the middle of the night when I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, hang on, where am I again? Oh, okay. It's down the corridor to the right.
No, it's true. It's like, wait, I've had that experience as well. And you wake up and you say, hold on, where am I? Oh, yep.
But you have to have those 3 seconds of mente locale, as we say in Italian. It's like, oh, okay, we're in this country.
What inspires you, Maria, and who inspires you? And it could be more than one, more than one place, more than one person.
What inspires me? The will to live, because the message to be positive to the others, the will to just, you're having a horrible day, but what's the choice? You wake up in the morning choosing how to live your life.
Yeah.
So it could be grumpy, it could be horrible, or you choose to be, okay, let's pick ourselves up and get on with it. For example, I ended up in Bulgaria during COVID. I was there for just 2 weeks. I ended up living there for 6 months. I was stuck in the country. What the hell do you do? You pick yourself up and just smile and people call you, do you want to be on TV? Yes, sure. And you turn the negative into positive. It's up to you to do that. And not, moan in your living room like, oh my God, I'm stuck here in Bulgaria. What am I going to do? I never lived here. I had never lived in Bulgaria in my life. So then you just,
wow.
found out I was in Bulgaria and they're like, hey, can you come and talk about it? We need content. Do you feel safe enough to come on television? Like, yeah, sure. I have nothing else to do. I'm coming over. And so you go on TV, then another TV wants you, then another. And then, Ron Moss, my good friend, was stuck in Belgium. And he was like, let's do some YouTube going on interviews. So we were keeping each other busy, getting informed about a lot of things, doing music live. So we kept each other busy with other artists around the world. And then I said, Ron, I'm here in Bulgaria, but it looks like in September we can stick in a show. Do you want to come to Bulgaria and sing? And I was like, yeah. So I started producing. And as a result of COVID, I produced a show in a theater of 2,500 seats in the Roman amphitheater of Plovdiv, got run over, and we had a magnificent show. And then 6 months later, he came again because they loved him so much over there. So we weren't bored during COVID. We had lots to do. So that's what inspires me to get on with it. And actually never take no for an answer. That's really what gets me going big time.
Well, because I would imagine by saying yes, especially somebody like you always manage to turn it into something extraordinary, right? Because first of all, your talent and your attitude. And if you just keep those together, right, what could go wrong? I mean, lots could go wrong. But, you know, even if it does, you pivot to your point, right? You just pivot.
And I think I have it in my genes because look at my dad's story. Look at my mom's story. They were not comfortable. So, I mean, yes, my mom was a bit more spoiled than my dad in her origins, but she had to come out of a communist country. She had to fight for where she was and ended up being. My dad, he came out and, you know, spoke many languages at the end of it and played 7 instruments and sang around the globe. So they all came out of difficult situations. You have to think, it's the 40s and my dad is in Sicily and he joins the Marines as a musician and then starts singing around the world and meets the greatest of the greatest and the finest of the artists in the world, and they just look at him and, you know, they're in awe of him. I have telegrams from Laurel and Hardy saying, Maestro carissimo, our dear Sicilian friend, it was so lovely to see you in Leeds when you were performing. Like, they would come and see him. So, and I have this thing, I have amazing friends that also, some of them happen to be amazing celebrities and they have a great line of work, and they come and see me perform. I was like, oh God, you know, so I think I kind of follow my dad's footsteps that way without even trying and without even knowing. It just is happening. I'm kind of invested in his energy somehow.
Can we name drop a little bit? You say some of these celebrities. I mean, we already know that Susan Sarandon and Kevin Costner were in the audience hearing you. They really were delightful. But
then I sang at another instance, again at the Better World Fund in front of Isabelle Huppert. And then I get on stage and she's like, coming over here. And I'm like, yes, madame. Oui, madame. I was like, I took a photo because behind the stage, there was this huge screen with my name. And she's like, I took a photo of you if you don't mind, because I'd like to remember your name. What's your Instagram? Let's exchange numbers. I'm like, oh my God, what?
Wow.
And then another one was when I was in New York with Mike Stoller and his wife, Corky Hale. I mean, those are legends of the music. Corky Hale played the piano for Frank Sinatra, the harp and the piano for Billie Holiday, Boy George, or George Michael, sorry. Then Mike Stoller wrote for no other, Lieber and Stoller, hello, Hound Dog, a Jailhouse Rock for Elvis. And they kind of became super friends of mine. So, you know, people like that.
Wow, extraordinary. Let's talk about your one-woman show that you've done, because that was such a success. I also want to talk about the film production that you do, that you become involved with as well, because that's a whole different side of you and what you're doing. Talk about it.
So basically, my one-woman show, again, going with the flow, I was here in 2011. I had started going to the Beverly Hills Playhouse, and, you know, with the likes of Harry Hamlin, Doris Roberts, Theo Penglis, Jack Betts, who's actually my guest right now in the other room. He's Hunt Powers. He used to shoot on another hill as Clint Eastwood, the spaghetti western movies. And so, yeah, that's who we're hosting right now. And so I just was going to the Beverly Hills Playhouse, and Jack got me into the Beverly Hills Playhouse. And I was just surrounded by all these celebrities. Oh, my God, I'm going to do a scene with those. And Harry Hamlin comes along. He's like, I would like to do Richard III with you. Can you be my Lady Anne? But are you afraid of going into the unknown, into the extreme? I was like, bring it on. It's like, okay, that's my kind of gal. Let's do a scene. And to this day, people talk about that legendary scene.
Wow.
And then Jack tells me, well, there is this movie of Edith Piaf, La Vie en Rose. I would like to transform you and get the wig going and the eyebrows, and let's do a scene from the movie. I'm like, okay, because at the time, Howie Deutsch, who was teaching the class, said, you're amazing, but your flavor, I think, is to do all the international characters. So let's do, you know, Vicky Cristina Barcelona. I did the Penelope Cruz thing, and he was like, that was sensational, because, you know, I was talking in Spanish and in English and being crazy, and all the crazy characters you could think of, they're my thing. And then Jack said, let's try Edith Piaf. So I transformed, and Howie Deutsch said, look, for the first minute of the scene, I didn't know it was you. You did such transformation work.
Wow.
I had to look the paper on who's doing the scene today, because I couldn't figure it out. This is your one-woman show. You got to do it. My first yeah, right. What do I have in common with her? But then they were like, you're petite, you have her low tones, let's give it a shot. So we started workshopping it at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, and then I premiered it at the Lee Strasberg Institute at the Marilyn Monroe Theater for 3 nights, and it was sold out. So the whole of West Hollywood came. I didn't know anybody. They just came and loved it, and then we did it subsequently at the Grammy Museum. And that's how I kicked off my career in LA, not in movies, but in singing and theater. Okay, go with the flow again. Then I started some movies with Eric Roberts and Corey Feldman. That was my first few movies. And then with Jack, Teo Penglis, and Maria Conchita Alonso, and Doris Roberts. And then, you know, one thing led to another, and that's how I ended up staying 10 years in LA. And then I did a Dalida show. I don't know if many people know about Dalida, but it's a seven language show, and it's a disco show. So I started doing that one too. And so, yeah, I've been doing movies and singing and one-woman shows, and the Edith Piaf show has gone around the world. Like, I've done it in China, I've done it in Bulgaria, you name it, London, Italy, of course, you name it.
Can you bring it back, please? I really want to see it. I'm an enormous fan of hers, and I'd love to see you perform her.
Well, this year
I really would.
It's anniversary, so I'm gonna have to bring it back, maybe at Vibrato, or maybe at the Grammy Museum, or we'll see, but probably next year for sure, and we'll let you know.
Oh, Maria, that's so exciting. I would just be so honored and thrilled to attend. Talk about a little bit, because I know that you don't have lots of time because you have a meeting. But don't worry, I'm keeping track of it for you. Didn't I tell you I would? So just have a couple more questions. Let's talk about your film producing. You know, what have you been working on? And then I also want to talk about being Italian too. So go ahead, talk about your film producing.
All the hands have been Italian so far, right? We've been very Italian. You know, there is a joke. If you lock the hands of an Italian, if you tie an Italian up, they can't talk.
That's probably true. I think if I were to sit on my hands, I wouldn't be able to do it. So, yeah, here, I'm going to do that. Let's see how long I last. But go ahead.
Came again from a negative turning into positive. It happened while I was locked in Bulgaria, and I was doodling around. And so the show with Ron Moss came about. And then I was like, I work so well here in Bulgaria. I'm respected because I have a lot of TV shows that I ended up doing while here. So I have good ties, and all of it was on a handshake. So I was like, and I have a lot of friends that had started inquiring, oh, is it cheaper to shoot in Bulgaria? And I said, yes. And then I had other friends that have this base where they have an outlet of all the cameras and lights and equipment that you could think of. And so they said, anytime you want to shoot, just let us know what you need. Then I have friends that have great locations. So again, one thing led to another, and I ended up shooting with William Baldwin some pickup shots 2 Octobers ago of a movie that they had shot in New York, but he happened to be in Bulgaria for a film festival of a friend of mine. And so they were like, the director said, can we squeeze in a few pickup shots? It's like, sure, let me figure it out for you. And I did it, and it was a 2-day shot, went brilliantly. I was like, I'm opening my company. And so we did, because now this company is Maria Elena Enterprises, and what it does is it's a service for movies. So tell me, as a director or a writer or a producer, what is it that you know? I'll tell you how much it costs. I'm going to shave the cost, and it's going to be 10 times cheaper than shooting it anywhere else. I can guarantee you that, because it's personal favors, it's, connections, and it's trust. So it's a company based on a lot of trust and good people. Like, for example, the crew that worked for us on with William Baldwin was the crew of an Expendables. So it's not little things. We're not, you know, beginners. So you get good stuff.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that. And then under my umbrella at Maria Elena Enterprises, we have concerts, events, connection of celebrities brought in to Bulgaria for film festivals. So Maria Elena Enterprises covers all of that at your service.
But to your point, you go with the flow. I love that.
Absolutely.
You go with the flow, and one leads to the other, and you do them so beautifully and so successfully. And I think it really all does stem from right here. That attitude of yours is like, can you make this work? Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't hesitate. You just say, yes, I can. Can you play her? Yes, I can. You know, can you film this? I can. You know, that's
And now we have a couple of movies as well that we're in talks for Bulgaria to be shot with some names too, but I don't want to say it until it's done. You know what I mean? So it's going forward. But guess what? It happened during staying locked up at home, and the creativity just flew and went to incredible places. And to me, going with the flow means being taken into places that you couldn't imagine you were going, and it overcomes the imaginable. Literally, what I would imagine being at in my life at this point in my life, I'm way beyond that. I've surpassed it. I never thought I would be doing Edith Piaf. I never thought I would be doing Dalida. I never thought I would be doing a documentary on my dad. You know,
or performing at the Royal Albert Hall when you were just out of school, or even so, coming on my show, right?
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
Let's talk about let's end on this question. How important are you? You know, talk about being Italian, you know, and what that means to you, whether you're here in the States, where there's a whole big collection of Italian Americans and Italians. And then, of course, when you're over in Italy, like how big of it, right? Am I saying that right? A part of that is it to you?
It's huge because it's the enjoyment of food. I don't bargain on it. It's food. Pasta has to be al dente. Don't care where I am in the world. Gotta be al dente. It's the enjoyment of the table and gathering people around the table and the food. And that's what I need in my life to do. Like at least once a week, I have to gather some people around and cook for them. And people are like, oh my God, are you crazy? It's so much hassle. We don't want to bother you. Let's go out to the restaurant. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I need this. I want this. I love cooking for my friends, so you'll have to come over and I'll have to make some pasta.
I would love to. I'm not America's greatest cook. I'm so disappointed to tell you that. I'm not. Skipped me over a little bit. I come from a family of phenomenal cooks. I'll come. I'll help.
Yes.
I'll eat.
I'll cook for you, pasta al dente. We're going to eat and enjoy life, because that's, to me, that's how Italian I get. But it's combined with my Bulgarian, because the Bulgarians eat a lot too, and they love food a lot too, and wine. And so both cultures are very well blended, and I don't think I could have hated food with the blend that I have. So to me, being Italian and Bulgarian is actually, food is very important. You gotta eat and enjoy it.
Yeah. Any parting words, if you will, for our audience out there that you want them to know about you, that you want them to know about any projects, anything else you'd like to tell our audience? We're just thrilled to have you on today. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me on. It's such a thrilling conversation because it's girls talk and we touched upon so many topics, and you have such lovely energy, and thank you for thinking of me for this interview as well. But I would say just, times are tough wherever you go in the world. You might have a bad day, a good day. Just look at the little things in everyday's life. Like, to me, having pasta al dente makes me happy.
I love it. I love it.
It's tiny things like that. Or tell the person you love that you actually love them, because they might just know it, but remind them. Or just make them a cup of tea. Ask them if they're okay. Hug them. These are the things, like, My thing is, as Edith Piaf would say, non rien de rien, non rien de rien, non je ne regrette rien. Don't go to bed regretting. Live life to the full as if it's your last. I could die tomorrow. I don't regret. That's how I want to live my life. And I live it like that. And it's very crazy, very international. I'm very blessed and I know it and I'm grateful. So take a moment to sit down and acknowledge how great life can be, even when you think it's horrible. But okay, start making a list. What's good in my life today? Take a day at a time.
Absolutely magnificent. What a way to end our interview. That was just terrific. You're such a delight. People, look up Maria on her website. You'll get, and also, what's your Instagram handle?
Maria Elena Infantino official and Maria Elena, and also on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm all over the place.
Maria Elena Infantino, thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to your next performances here. I look forward to coming to your house to have you cook. I look forward to just seeing you next time out and about, watching you perform, or just, hanging out somewhere here in town. I really, really do.
Absolutely. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you for joining our show. And everybody, you can find our interview with Maria on YouTube, Facebook. We then put it over on Instagram. We put a bunch of promos over there as well. And as an audio podcast on iHeartRadio, anywhere on Spotify that you get your podcast, just look us up, Deborah Cobelt Live, and our Little Italy podcast simulcast, and you'll find my interview with Maria. And please share with your friends too. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Grazie.